The story continues as Roxy gets the news that communication has been lost with one of their squads in Galia. Quickly, Roxy organizes everyone for a rescue mission, deciding they'll head to Galia right away. Meanwhile, Fade finds himself back at the shop, where Jade informs him that they need a special material called duckstone to craft a scabbard for his sword. Getting duckstone is no walk in the park. It's a rare material controlled by the kingdom, making it uncertain when they'll have more in stock. Greed suggests fetching it themselves, and Jade reveals that duckstone can be found in Galia. Fate checks the map and realizes that their destination is close to the Great Canyon, the same place Roxy is heading to. Upon arrival, they encounter giant orcs and use a shield to defend themselves. Employing a shield bash, they manage to defeat the menacing creatures, with Fate's Gluttony skill coming into play multiple times. Roxy's group faces difficulties reaching the Great Canyon due to malfunctioning compasses in the area. With the sun and stars also unavailable as guides, Myria blames the clouds for the hindrance. Thankfully, they come up with a plan, determining the direction by focusing on the concentration of orcs, as the orc colony is at the southernmost point. Following the orc presence should eventually lead them to the Great Canyon. However, they need to exercise caution, as more dangerous monsters lurk in the area. In another place, Greed admires Fate for realizing the importance of taking a break before facing another battle. During Fate's rest, something unusual happens. He sees the girl who was trapped inside the chimera. Unfortunately, a frightening noise prevents him from hearing her words, and suddenly, he finds himself in a bizarre location filled with what seems to be human tomato juice. In this strange place, Fate comes face to face with the people he's harmed, and he's pulled down by Hido. When Fate wakes up, he's left puzzled, not understanding what just transpired. Despite the confusion, there's no time to dwell on it, as Fate senses the presence of monsters nearby. Greed points out that these are not ordinary orcs, they're crowned beasts, and there's more than one of them. Fate uses his night vision skill and discovers that the monsters are salamanders. Fate manages to take down one of the salamanders with his bow, but he observes something odd about these creatures. Normally, monsters would run away after taking significant damage, but these salamanders aren't pursuing them. Instead, they're moving in the same direction, almost as if they're being controlled by an external force. The peculiar behavior intrigues them, prompting the group to decide to follow these mysterious creatures. Back with Roxy, she wakes up to find her group under attack by several salamanders. These creatures cause significant damage, and Northern apologizes because the monsters somehow managed to break through their defenses. Mugen steps in just in time to save Roxy from becoming a barbecue, and everyone is amazed at the power of these crowned beasts. Myria, feeling furious, tries to fight back with her magical flaming sword, but it proves ineffective. Roxy rushes to Myria's side, but the situation quickly becomes perilous. Fortunately, Corpse arrives to rescue them. Mugen is highly impressed with Corpse's skills, especially his use of the common sharp edge skill with great force. After Corpse defeats the lizards, Roxy expresses her gratitude. She encourages Myria to thank Corpse as well, but the stubborn Myria insists that she didn't need any help. They all introduce themselves, and eventually, Myria decides to express her gratitude to their savior. Northern also thanks Corpse, but Corpse is curious about a strange mark on the salamanders. All the creatures share the same marking, and the group notes that crowned beasts usually don't team up like this. It's clear that the salamanders were specifically targeting Roxy, but she suggests that it might be a coincidence. Lately, things have taken a strange turn, especially since the divine dragon emerged from its nest. Sometime later, the group finally reaches the Great Canyon. Corpse expresses his thanks for their help in getting there, and Roxy is pleased to discover that they share the same destination. Myria, displaying jealousy, takes Roxy away, emphasizing the need to rescue the squadron. Roxy tries to bid farewell, but Fate hesitates to take her hand, fearing that his mind-reading skill might kick in. Instead, Myria grabs his hand, and now Fate can hear her thoughts. The little Myria doesn't want him getting close to Roxy, and wishes he would leave already. Roxy intervenes to stop Myria from touching Fate, and everyone exchanges their goodbyes. Fate appears strangely okay with letting Roxy go, even though he knows she's in great danger. Anyway, Fate finds himself in a seemingly purified area in Galia, noticing that monsters there are petrified, like in a graveyard. To his surprise, he sees a vision of himself petrified, but it's just his imagination. They continue their search for Duckstone, but so far, no luck. However, they do spot Eris. Fate loses sight of her but is shocked to find a chimera. This chimera doesn't have a core, so Greed assumes it's just a prototype buried long ago, with the rocks that covered it now crumbled. Nearby, empty spots suggest that some chimeras were awakened, 3 in total. Fate wonders if Eris is responsible. An explosion shakes the ground, seemingly from Roxy's direction. Fate rushes to her aid, discovering that her group is battling a terrifying chimera. These chimeras possess overwhelming power, and Corpse arrives once again to assist them. His arrows don't seem to hurt them much, and Roxy explains that Mugen and Northern were both injured while protecting Myria. The chimeras have the ability to heal, though Greed points out that it's much slower than Haniel's healing was. Corpse briefs the others about their foes being chimera, emphasizing that the cores are the weak points. Corpse enlists the help of 2 girls, and they get ready for the attack. The chimera attempts to repel them with fire, but Fate happens to have fire resistance. A clever chimera tries to shield its core with its arms, but our heroes outsmart it. Corpse takes down one of the chimeras, and Roxy destroys its core. Corpse admires Roxy's skill, and notices that she used Eren's swordsmanship. Myria faces off against a chimera's fire attack with her sword but fears for her life. Greed is impressed with Myria, and Corpse arrives to ease her terror. Although Myria dislikes being saved by him again, Roxy instructs her to take everyone to safety. Roxy declares that Corpse and she will handle the remaining chimera. Corpse wields his scythe, and together they use the same technique they employed against the first chimera to attack the others. This marks Fate's first time fighting alongside Roxy, and it feels more natural than with Mine or Eren. Only one chimera remains, but it unexpectedly takes flight. The plan is to strike when it lands, but as soon as it does, the ground gives way. Corpse grabs hold of Roxy, reassuring her safety in his hands. Roxy quickly trusts him, and they cling to each other as they descend. Sometime later, Fate wakes up and panics upon realizing that Roxy is on his lap, and he has lost his mask. Roxy awakens, and Fate miraculously finds his mask at the last moment. Corpse impresses Roxy with some cool fireball magic, reflecting on how close the situation was. Roxy shares the heartbreaking news that they couldn't rescue the squadron. They arrived only to find them all burned beyond recovery. Roxy notices Corpse seems knowledgeable about the chimera, and he reveals he learned from a survivor from Gallion. Roxy recalls seeing a Gallion girl with a big axe and wonders if that's who Corpse is talking about. There are rumors about this girl sending a lord flying, but Corpse pretends not to know. Roxy also mentions hearing that this girl was traveling with a man in a skull mask, leaving Corpse no choice but to confess. Roxy teases him, saying he reminds her of someone she knows. According to her, this guy should be in the capital, but she feels his presence right there with her. Being away from him has made her reflect on various things, wondering if he's happy. Corpse surprises her by stating he's sure this guy is happy, even though he shouldn't know anything about him. Corpse plays it cool, mentioning that this guy is fortunate to have Roxy care so much about him. Despite these heart-to-heart moments, Corpse suddenly experiences a sharp pain. He can't comprehend why his gluttony skill is acting up now, and Roxy questions what's wrong with his eye. Corpse, not wanting her to witness his monstrous side, hastily runs off. Things take a turn for the worse as Fate detects a particular scent nearby. It's the chimera, bursting through the cave wall. Fate grabs his scythe but envisions Roxy in place of the chimera's core. Despite the mental struggle, he attacks the core vigorously, demanding that Roxy stop looking at him that way. The battle concludes, and Fate notices a mark on the chimera, the same as on the salamanders. Greed is certain that someone is targeting Roxy's life. Fate remembers Eris's sinister plan to end Roxy's life, and is resolute in preventing it from happening. Roxy joins the scene a bit late, and the cave collapses slightly. Surprisingly, Duckstone is right there, and Roxy clarifies that this crystal is created from monsters. She reunites with her group, and they express relief that everyone is safe, except for the squadron that met a tragic end, burned to death. In another location, we catch a glimpse of a striking blonde version of Corpse with a glowing green eye. This brings an end to our episode.